Baba Eze gave me a black ring and told me to go inside Mama Chisom's house to find where she keeps the dead. That is where her power lives. I stood outside that iron gate for a long time. The black ring on my finger felt warm, almost like it was breathing. I had no plan, no weapon, nothing except a small prayer in my chest and the words Baba Eze had repeated twice as I was leaving. Do not eat. Do not drink. Do not scream. I knocked. 3 seconds passed. The gate opened on its own. No hand pushed it. No one came to open it. It just swung inward slowly, like it had been waiting for me. I stepped inside. The compound was nothing like I expected. From outside, the house looked old and tired, but inside, it was beautiful, frighteningly beautiful, like stepping into a different world. There were flowers everywhere, deep red and purple. The grass was perfectly cut. The air smelled sweet, too sweet, like fruits that had been sitting out just one day too long. Mama Chisom appeared from the front door, smiling. I knew you would come, she said warmly. Come inside, my daughter. She led me into her sitting room. Everything was neat, expensive, a big television, soft sofas, fine curtains. Normal. Too normal. She brought out a tray almost immediately. Cold drinks, small chops, chin-chin in a fine glass bowl. Eat something, she said sweetly. You look hungry. Do not eat. Do not drink. I'm okay, Ma. Thank you, I said, smiling. I just finished eating before I came. She watched me for just 1 second too long. Then she smiled and sat down. We talked. She was warm, funny even. She asked about my shop, my mother, my life. She listened like she genuinely cared. And I almost forgot why I was there. Almost. Then I noticed the ring on my finger getting hotter. I looked down, and on the wall directly behind Mama Chisom, I saw something that nobody without Baba Eze's ring would ever see. Shadows. Not her shadow, not mine. Other shadows, many of them standing along the wall like people standing in a line, still, silent, watching me. My throat tightened. I remembered Baba Eze's words, do not scream. I kept my face calm, kept smiling, kept talking, but my eyes moved slowly around the room until I spotted it. A door at the back, half hidden behind a long curtain with a small black padlock. That was it. That was where she kept them. I saw shadows of the dead on Mama Chisom's wall, and I found the hidden door at the back of her sitting room. But she was sitting right in front of me. I needed to get her out of that room. My eyes kept moving between her face and that curtain behind her. I had to be smart. I had to think fast. Then an idea came. Mama Chisom, I said softly, rubbing my stomach. Please, can I use your toilet? I think the heat outside is doing something to me. She looked at me for a moment. That same 1 second too long. Then she smiled and stood up. Of course, my daughter. Follow me. She led me down a short corridor and pointed to a door on the left. Thank you, Ma, I said. She nodded and walked back toward the sitting room. I waited. Counted to 10. Then I stepped back into the corridor. The hidden door was to the right, back behind that curtain. I moved quickly and quietly on my toes. I pulled the curtain aside. The black padlock was there, small, old. I touched it, and the ring on my finger burned hot, so hot I almost pulled away. But instead of burning me, the padlock clicked, just like that. It fell open in my hand. I pushed the door and stepped inside. The smell hit me first.
Not a terrible smell. That was the strange part. It smelled like herbs, like the inside of an old church mixed with something earthy and deep. The room was dark, but my eyes adjusted quickly, and what I saw made my knees almost give way. The walls, every single wall, were covered from floor to ceiling with small glass bottles, hundreds of them. Each one had a label, a name written in red ink, and inside was a small clump of hair. I moved closer and read one label, then another, then another. Every single name on those bottles I recognized. Women from Lagos, some from our street, some I had seen on the news, some whose obituary posters I had walked past on the road. All dead. These were not just wigs. This was a collection. Every woman whose hair she had taken, a piece of them was still here, trapped in this room, in these bottles. That was why the shadows in the sitting room were all women. They were still here, still trapped. My hand was shaking as I reached for one bottle near the bottom. Then I heard footsteps in the corridor, slow, steady, coming closer. And Mama Chisom's smooth voice floated through the door. I was wondering how long it would take you to find that room. She knew I was in there the whole time. Was this a trap? What happens now that she has caught me?
I found hundreds of glass bottles with dead women's hair trapped inside. Then Mama Chisom's footsteps came down the corridor, and she said she had been waiting for me to find that room. I spun around. She was standing in the doorway, arms folded, head tilted. That small smile sitting on her face like it lived there permanently. I gripped the bottle in my hand tighter. "Put that down," she said softly, gently. My legs wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. She was blocking the only door. "What is all this?" I asked. My voice was shaking, but I forced myself to stand straight. "My work," she said simply, like it was the most normal thing in the world. "These are people, real people. You trapped them here." She stepped into the room slowly. "I preserved them. There is a difference. They are dead and you stole their hair." "I gave them purpose," she said, her voice still calm. "Every woman who wore my wigs felt beautiful, felt powerful. Those women," she gestured at the bottles, "they gave that gift through me. They didn't choose this," I said. She stopped walking and looked at me with something new in her eyes. Not anger, curiosity. "You are different," she said quietly. "Most people who find this room cannot even speak. They just freeze. But you," she tilted her head again, "you are standing there arguing with me." The ring on my finger was burning steadily now. "What do you want from me?" I asked directly. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something I was not expecting. "I want you to take over." The room went completely silent. "I am tired," she said. 32 years is a long time. I need someone with your eyes, your gift, someone who can see what others cannot. I stared at her. "You want me to do what you do?" I said slowly. She nodded once. "Never," I said. Her smile disappeared for the first time, and the temperature in that small room dropped so suddenly that I could see my own breath. "That," she said quietly, was the wrong answer. The bottles on the wall began to rattle. All of them at once. The bottles are rattling, and Mama Chisom is no longer smiling. What happens next will leave you speechless.